honorable guests, honorees, community leaders, friends and family, and especially Rabbi Binyaminson. The Belt Parkway is a road I take often. It is a road thousands of people use each day. 14 years ago, I journeyed on the Belt Parkway in a funeral procession, my son's funeral procession. In the fog of my grief and pain, I looked out at the other side of the highway. I saw hundreds, maybe even thousands of cars stopped in midday traffic, their occupants standing beside their cars, paying their last respects. This past Thursday was March 6th, the anniversary of my son's death, and I had just left the cemetery after visiting Ari. I reached the Belt Parkway, deep in thought, when the news from Jerusalem broke over the radio. 8 young men, the newscaster said, had been studying peacefully in yeshiva when they were assaulted by hate. 8 innocent lives were extinguished with a gust of wind and a hail of bullets. As they breathed their last, they clutched their holy books, the newscaster said. Once again, terror struck. Once again, terror struck my heart. The same terror struck my heart on the same Belt Parkway I had traveled on so many years ago. I still don't have the words to describe what it's like to lose a son. It's a feeling of pain that never ceases, of memories that never die, that no matter how many years pass, and memories that are stillborn. The story of terrorism seems to be a story without end, as it claims victims each day. With each loss, a gaping hole is torn open in the hearts of so many. So much horrible news is fed to us each day, we become desensitized, almost uncaring. The burden of feeling is just too much. Weary of feeling, we sigh and continue driving or working or making dinner. But I remember each time. I remember the call. I remember the news. Only it was about my son, not someone else's. I also remember those thousands of people standing on the other side of the highway, by the sides of their cars, paying their respects. It was an act of kindness and goodwill that is unique to the American people in a city which has its fair share of pain and suffering. The Jewish Children's Museum was founded to increase that goodness. The preeminent historian Paul Johnson wrote, and I quote, "All the great conceptual discoveries of the intellect seem obvious and inescapable once they have been revealed. But it requires a special genius to formulate them for the first time. The Jew has this gift. To them we owe the idea of equality before the law, both divine and human, of the sanctity of life and the dignity of the human person, of the individual conscience and so of personal redemption, of the collective conscience and so of social responsibility, of peace as an abstract ideal and love as the foundation of justice, and many other items which constitute the basic moral furniture of the human mind." And I end quote. The American idea of spreading democracy and freedom throughout the world parallels the Jewish concept of spreading ethical monotheism and tikkun olam, repairing the world. These gifts of social justice and caring are the message the museum seeks to impart to every child who visits. Often, the impetus and springboard for great change is an inexplicable tragedy. The creation of this museum came about through loss. When I look at all of you here tonight, I see drivers, and especially you, Serge, who has taken Ari into his heart, that have stopped and decided to do what is right and what is decent. I see people who believe in equality and justice, in social responsibility and the callings of conscience. When I look out at you, I see a group of people who are willing to take out time and valuable resources and make a commitment to devote those energies to furthering the path of light and understanding and fostering harmony among all people. Thank you.